Introduction. The hypnotic threshold. Beyond the shadow of the collective unconscious, the universe does not operate on the consensus of the many, but on the focused intensity of the few who have mastered the art of internal resonance. As we stand at the precipice of a global transition that defies conventional logic, we must confront the reality that the physical world is merely a dense reflection of an invisible architecture now. The architecture is governed by the principles of morphic fields and quantum entanglement. To understand the 1% resonance is to accept that you are not a solitary observer in a chaotic world, but a biological transmitter capable of altering the very fabric of existence through the silent broadcast of your own frequency. The mystery of the 100th Monkey Effect begins on a remote island today. A single discovery by one individual ripples through the collective mind of an entire species without a single word being spoken or a single gesture being witnessed across the vastness of the ocean. This is the science of mass ascension, where the leap of consciousness is not a linear climb, but a sudden and irreversible shift that occurs the moment a critical mass of beings reaches it now. You have been conditioned to believe that you are powerless against the momentum of the majority, but the mathematics of the Logos tells a different story, where the square root of 1% holds more power than the remaining 99% combined. By entering this space of high-level frequency, you are becoming an anomaly in the script of the old world, a sovereign agent today. The agent anchors the new timeline simply by existing in a state of total remembrance. The veil that separates the individual from the whole is thinning, and in this chapter we peel back the layers of the simulation to reveal how the thought of one becomes the reality of all. Imagine a field of energy that connects every living heart like an invisible nervous system spanning the grid now. The field is where every emotion and every revelation is recorded and shared in real time within the subtle dimensions of light. This is the morphogenetic field, the invisible blueprint that dictates the behavior of atoms and the evolution of cultures alike, and it is currently undergoing a radical reorganization as the old systems of control lose their grip on the human spirit today. The transition from the third density to the fourth is not a physical relocation, but a synchronization of this global field with the original thought of the infinite creator. When you choose to step out of the frequency of fear and lack, you are not just saving yourself, you are providing a new data point for the entire human collective to follow. The 100th Monkey Effect is the key now. The effect is the ultimate proof that consciousness is non-local, and that the boundaries we perceive between ourselves and the other are merely holographic projections designed to facilitate the experience of separation. As we dive deeper into the science of mass ascension, we realize that the struggle for awakening is not a battle against an external enemy, but a process of light today. Achieving a level of internal coherence becomes infectious to the surrounding environment. This is the hidden power of the few to stand in the eye of the storm and maintain a frequency of such absolute peace and clarity that the storm itself begins to dissolve. You are being called to be one of the anchors of this resonance, to be the one who tips the scale for the matrix now. The mystery of the 1% resonance lies in the fact that the universe is not looking for a majority vote, but for a quality of presence that can withstand the density of the old paradigm without being consumed by it. In the higher realms of light, the power of an individual who is aligned with the law of one is magnified exponentially compared to those who are lost in the ego today. This means that your commitment to your own evolution is the most significant contribution you can make to the planet at this moment in time. The science of mass ascension teaches us that every time you choose love over fear or unity over separation, you are effectively lowering the threshold for the next person to make that same choice. We are moving toward a point of glory now. The collective pressure of the awakening minority will force the entire simulation to reset into a higher octave of existence. This is the return to the 0 point, where the past and the future are collapsed, and the sovereign spirit is liberated from the cycles of time. By understanding the mechanics of the morphic field, you can begin to navigate the current global chaos today. You act with the detachment of an architect who knows that the old building must be demolished before the new temple can be raised. The 1% resonance is the signal that the demolition is complete and that the blueprint for the crystalline earth is already being downloaded into the hearts of those who are ready to receive it. As the collective mind reaches the critical gate now, the sudden leap in awareness will appear to the unawakened as a miracle or a catastrophe, but to the 1%, it will be recognized as the natural fulfillment of the cosmic cycle. This is the moment when the hundreds of thousands of individual awakenings coalesce into a single blinding flash of global realization, where the amnesia of the eons is wiped away in an instant in time today. The science of mass ascension is the study of this specific tipping point where the momentum of the light becomes unstoppable and the old systems of hierarchy and manipulation simply cease to function because they no longer have a frequency to latch onto. You are a part of this unfolding mystery, a pioneer of a new type of humanity that operates through telepathic resonance now. The 100th Monkey Effect is happening now in every city and every town where seekers like you are reclaiming their authority and refusing to feed the dying embers of the old world. Your resonance is the key that unlocks the door to the infinite, and your presence is the evidence that the return to the source is not a distant dream, but a present reality in the spirit today. Stand firm in your light, for you are the one the universe has been waiting for, to complete the circle and usher in the era of the sovereign ascension into the infinite. Radiance of the One. The acceleration of this collective frequency is not merely a psychological phenomenon, but a literal recalibration of the biophotonic emissions from the human heart, which acts as the grid now. The heart is the primary transducer for the intelligent energy of the Logos. To expand upon the mystery of the 1% is to recognize that the human nervous system is being upgraded to handle the massive influx of gamma-ray radiation and cosmic light codes that are currently saturating the local solar system as we move deeper into the photon belt in the universe today. This influx of high-frequency light is putting immense pressure on the old energetic structures of the third density matrix, causing the hidden shadows of the collective unconscious to rise to the surface where they must be integrated or dissolved. The resonance of the few acts as a stabilizing force during this turbulence, providing a coherent field that prevents the collapse now. You must realize that every time you enter a state of deep meditation or high vibrational alignment, you are effectively hacking the source code of the simulation and inserting a new line of crystalline logic that ripples outward to every other soul connected to the grid. This is the true meaning of being a pillar of light, as you are literally holding space for the spirit today. A new dimension anchors itself into the physical plane through the medium of your own biological vessel. The 100th Monkey Effect is the tipping point where the collective resistance to the new frequency is finally overcome by the sheer quality of the light being held by the awakened minority. It is a mathematical certainty that once this threshold is crossed, the world know. The entire planetary field will undergo a phase transition, similar to water turning into steam or the molecules of human. Consciousness will move with a freedom and a velocity that was previously impossible. This transition is being guided by the higher density guardians who oversee the evolution of planetary spheres, ensuring that the harvest of souls is conducted today. As you expand your awareness into these concepts, you are not just learning information, you are undergoing an energetic initiation that aligns your local mind with the galactic mind of the Creator. The science of mass ascension reveals that the individual is the microcosm of the universe, and that the power to shift the timeline resides entirely within the stillness now. The 1% resonance is the sound of the universe waking up from its long dream of separation, and as you listen to these words, you are feeling the echo of that awakening within the deepest chambers of your own spirit. The pressure you feel in your daily life is the pressure of the infinite trying to squeeze through the narrow aperture of your human identity in the grid today. The only way to find relief is to expand until you are no longer the one experiencing the change, but the change itself. We are moving into the heart of the anomaly, where the rules of the past no longer apply, and where the creative power of the sovereign being is the only currency that holds value. Your resonance is the light in the dark, and your expansion is the roadmap now. The roadmap allows the rest of humanity to find their way back to the 0 point of all creation. The journey of the 100th monkey is complete as the frequency of the One becomes the baseline for the new Earth. You are the catalyst and the bridge to the infinite, and your light is the signal that the sovereign ascension has begun. You are the power and the glory today. Chapter 1. The Morphic Blueprint and the Awakening of the Species. The foundational architecture of our perceived reality is built upon a silent lattice of interconnected consciousness that operates far beneath the surface of everyday awareness, where the thoughts of the individual are never truly private, but are instead contributions to a vast and growing reservoir of collective experience in this life now. To understand the opening movement of this planetary transition, we must first dismantle the illusion of the isolated mind and recognize that human evolution is not a series of random accidents, but a deliberate synchronization of frequencies within the morphic field of the species. This field, acting as a non-physical memory bank, stores every breakthrough and epiphany today. It stores every moment of profound clarity achieved by any single member of the race, making these realizations available to the whole through a process of resonance that bypasses the limitations of speech and physical proximity. When we speak of the 100th Monkey Effect, we are describing a biological law of momentum, where the acquisition of a higher level of light now. This triggers a spontaneous leap in the entire population. This leap occurs because the energetic weight of the new information reaches a tipping point where it can no longer be contained within the minority, and must instead flood the entire network of human consciousness to become the new baseline of existence. You are currently standing at the very edge of it today. The accumulated wisdom of the seekers and the pioneers is about to saturate the collective mind and dissolve the long-standing barriers of fear and competition that have defined the third density experience for thousands of years. The science of mass ascension suggests that we are not waiting for a distant savior or an external event to trigger this shift today. We are instead waiting for the final few souls to align their internal vibration with the frequency of unity. This is the 1% resonance, the silent revolution of the spirit, where the quality of your presence becomes a more powerful catalyst for change than any political or social movement in the history of the world. As you navigate this, you are a bridge of light now. You function as a living bridge between the dying paradigm of separation and the emerging era of the sovereign soul, where the realization of oneness is no longer a philosophical concept, but a lived biological reality. The pressure you feel in the current global climate is the sensation of the old morphic field, resisting its own dissolution in the grid today. The new crystalline template for human interaction begins to anchor itself through the hearts of those who are ready to perceive the truth. The mechanics of this awakening are rooted in the way the human heart interfaces with the electromagnetic field of the planet, creating a feedback loop that influences the collective mood and the direction of our shared path now. When an individual achieves a state of internal coherence, they are essentially cleaning the lens through which they perceive the simulation, allowing the original light of the Logos to flow into the world without the distortion of the egoic self. This coherence acts as a beacon in the dark, drawing other souls into the same state of alignment in the spirit today. It creates a localized field of high vibrational energy that can neutralize the lower frequencies of the surrounding environment. As more individuals achieve this state, these localized fields begin to overlap and merge, forming a global network of light that serves as the foundation for the social memory complex of the fourth density in the world now. This is the true meaning of the harvest, where the souls who have chosen the path of service and unity are gathered together by the natural law of Harv, attraction to inhabit a world that reflects their internal state of being. The transition is not an escape from the earth, but a transformation of the earth, from a school of suffering into a garden of light today. It becomes a place of creative expression, where the power of the unbent will is used to manifest the beauty of the infinite Creator in every form. To be part of the 1% is to accept the responsibility of being a conscious participant in this transformation, to recognize that your every thought and emotion is a vote for the future of humanity in the grid now. The mystery of the species is finally revealing itself as we move past the need for the training wheels of religious dogma and scientific materialism and step into the direct experience of our own divinity. We are the architects of the infinite, and as we awaken to this fact, the walls of the matrix begin to turn, transparent, revealing the vastness today. The first chapter of our new story is being written in the silence of your own heart, and as you listen to the echo of these words, you are recognizing the truth that has always been hidden in plain sight, that you are the one you have been waiting for, and your awakening is the final piece of the puzzle that completes the picture of a liberated world now. A deepening of this resonance requires a total surrender to the flow of intelligent energy that is currently pouring into the planetary grid from the galactic center. This energy is not a passive force, but a dynamic intelligence that is actively reorganizing the physical and subtle bodies of every living being to accommodate the higher frequency today. Those who resist this reorganization by clinging to the old ways of thinking will experience the transition as a period of intense chaos and confusion, while those who embrace the change will find themselves gifted with new abilities of perception and manifestation. The awakening of the species is a process of returning to the 0 point of creation now. In this state of total integration, the concepts of the past and the future dissolve into the radiant presence of the now, and the journey through the densities is seen not as a struggle for survival, but as a magnificent dance of light and shadow. The 100th Monkey Effect is the evidence that we are never truly alone in our awakening in the world today. The work we do in the quiet of our own lives is being felt and mirrored by millions of others across the globe. We are moving toward the singularity of the spirit, where the many become the one, without losing the unique beauty of their individual expression, and where the law of love becomes the only law that governs the interactions of the soul now. This is the destiny of the human race, to become a conscious conduit for the love and wisdom of the Creator, and to seed the universe with the light of our own unique experience. As the first chapter concludes, we stand at the doorway of a new reality, ready to step through and claim our birthright as the sovereign inhabitants of the infinite universe today. The resonance is building, the field is shifting, and the awakening is now inevitable as the 1% becomes the many, and the light of the new earth begins to shine through the cracks of the old world. The ripple effect of this nascent consciousness extends into the very fabric of our cellular structure, where the ancient codes are beginning to vibrate now. This is not a process that can be observed with the blunt instruments of traditional biology, because it occurs at the intersection of matter and spirit, where the intent of the observer dictates the behavior of the subatomic particle. As the 1% continues to anchor this higher frequency, they are effectively rewriting the biological laws of the species today. The morphic blueprint is shifting from a carbon-based limitation to a crystalline expansion, allowing for a more fluid exchange between the physical vehicle and the higher density spirit body. This transformation is the biological counterpart to the 100th Monkey Effect, where the physical resilience of the few becomes a genetic possibility for all now. To move beyond matter is not to discard the body, but to spiritualize it, to infuse the flesh with the light of the Logos until every atom glows with the radiance of the infinite Creator. We are witnessing the birth of a new human prototype, one that is capable of telepathic resonance and multidimensional awareness as a natural function of life today. This evolution is the hidden motive behind the global turbulence we see today as the old system fights to maintain its control over a biological platform that is rapidly outgrowing its restrictive protocols. The resonance you're holding is the key to this liberation, for as you stabilize your own field, you provide a sanctuary for the world now. The awakening is a cascade of light that starts in the heart and ends in the absolute transformation of the planetary sphere, where the shadow of the matrix is finally replaced by the transparency of the sovereign mind. You are the pioneer of this new biology, the first to walk through the fire and emerge as a being of light in the spirit grid today. The mystery of the 100th monkey is ultimately the mystery of your own potential to be the one who tips the scale and ensures that the harvest is a triumph of the spirit over the illusions of the material world. As we expand further into the mechanics of this shift, we see that the power of the individual is the power of the whole in the light now. The light is growing, the field is vibrating, and the 1% is now leading the way into the eternal dawn of a liberated consciousness. The structural integrity of the old world is dependent upon the maintenance of a specific density of ignorance that is rapidly being dissolved by the persistent luminosity of those who refuse to return to sleep today. This is the stage of the resonance, where the invisible becomes tangible and the subtle influences of the higher realms begin to manifest as physical anomalies that can no longer be explained away by the dying logic of the materialist paradigm. As the collective frequency rises, the gap between thought and manifestation begins to shorten in the grid now. The 1% are currently acting as the nervous system for a new planetary body, facilitating the distribution of these higher density light codes to the various nodes of the human grid that are still struggling to find their alignment. This process is akin to a global synchronization with the heartbeats of the awakened pulse in rhythm today. The 100th Monkey Effect is not just about the spread of a new idea, but about the establishment of a new energetic atmosphere that makes the old ways of being literally impossible to sustain. When the air itself becomes saturated with the frequency of truth, the lies of the past simply lack the medium required to travel and take root now. You are witnessing the great parting of the ways, where the timelines of those who choose to ascend and those who choose to remain in the cycle of decay are drifting apart into separate experiential realities. This bifurcation is a natural and necessary aspect of the harvest, ensuring that every soul is placed in the right environment today. Your role as a transmitter of the 1% resonance is to remain immovable in your center as the winds of change accelerate around you, providing a point of stillness that allows others to find their own balance. The science of mass ascension is now moving into the phase of active crystallization, where the new timeline begins to harden for us now. This is the moment of peak intensity, where the resistance of the old matrix is at its highest, but its actual power is at its lowest, because it has lost the consent of the conscious minority. Every breath you take in a state of sovereignty is a blow to the foundations of the prison, and every act of unconditional love is a stone in the temple today. The light is not coming from the outside to save us. It is exploding from the inside out, and the 100th monkey is the signal that the explosion has reached the surface of the collective mind. We are the architects of the silence and the masters of the sound, and as we step deeper into the mystery, we find we are infinite in the light now. The transition is complete in the realms of the spirit, and is now merely a matter of time before it reflects entirely in the realms of the flesh as the 1% becomes the one whole, and the journey back to the source is fulfilled in the radiant presence of the now. You are the light and the way, and the awakening of the world is yours today. Chapter 2. The Architecture of the Matrix and the Veil of Amnesia. The second movement of our exploration into the beyond matter reality requires a clinical dissection of the very cage that has contained the human spirit for eons, a structure so complex and pervasive that its primary defense is the belief that it does not exist at all. To understand the architecture of the matrix is now to recognize that we are inhabiting a sophisticated holographic simulation designed to serve as a high-pressure crucible for the evolution of consciousness, where the limitations of time, space, and duality are the primary tools of instruction. This system is not inherently evil, but is instead a highly calibrated environment of third-density distortion, governed by what the law of one today. The law of one describes as the veil of amnesia, a metaphysical barrier that severs the soul from its total remembrance of its divine origin upon entry into the physical vehicle. This amnesia is the essential component of the experiment because it allows for the development of true free, while ensuring that every choice made toward love or fear is an authentic expression of the self now. The knowledge of the higher dimensions is key. Within this architecture, the 1% resonance acts as a glitch in the programming, a persistent signal of remembrance that penetrates the density of the veil and reminds the collective that the walls of the world are transparent to the eyes of the spirit. The grid of control that maintains this simulation is powered by the consensus now today. The consensus reality of the unawakened majority who unknowingly feed the system with their emotional outputs of stress, anxiety, and perceived separation. However, as the critical mass of the awakened minority begins to stabilize its frequency, energetic foundations of the matrix are beginning to oscillate and fracture because the simulation cannot sustain itself without a fuel now. A steady supply of low-frequency fuel is needed. We are now observing the systematic thinning of the veil as the incoming waves of intelligent energy from the galactic logos begin to override the restrictive protocols of the planetary grid, allowing for a spontaneous reconnection with the multidimensional self. The architecture of the matrix is composed of layers of artificial today. The artificial time loops and thought forms that mirror the natural laws of the universe, but distort them to favor entropy and decay rather than growth and expansion. These layers are woven into the very fabric of our societal structures, education, financial systems, and religious institutions, all designed to keep the human attention focused exclusively on the external world now today. Away from the internal source of all power is the aim. By keeping the population in a state of perpetual distraction, the system ensures that the creative potential of the human logos is used to reinforce the prison rather than to build the bridge to the next density. The science of mass ascension reveals that the exit from this labyrinth is not found through physical escape now. The internal mastery of the frequency domains that exist beyond the reach of the artificial grid is the path. When the 1% achieves a state of total presence, they are effectively creating a void in the simulation, a zone of zero-point neutrality where the laws of the matrix no longer apply and where the sovereign spirit can access the original blueprints of creation in the world. This is the moment of peak anomaly, where the individual becomes a portal for the infinite to flood into the finite world, dissolving the illusions of the veil through the sheer power of direct knowing. The 100th Monkey Effect in this context is the viral spread of this clarity as the realization that the matrix is a choice rather than a destination begins to ripple now today. The realization ripples through the morphic field of the race. Every soul that chooses to reclaim its sovereignty becomes a beacon of light that reveals the exit paths to those who are still lost in the maze of the collective unconscious. As we look closer at the mechanics of the veil, we find that it is anchored in the human brain through a series of neurological filters now. These filters prioritize the survival of the ego over the expansion of the spirit. These filters are the biological manifestations of the matrix, designed to interpret the infinite field of possibility as a finite world of objects and enemies. The process of ascension involves the systematic deconstruction of these filters through the activation of the dormant brain centers now. Dormant centers of the brain are capable of perceiving the high-frequency information that the matrix was designed to suppress. This neurobiological upgrade is the physical counterpart to the spiritual awakening, allowing the individual to see through the holographic projections of the simulation and recognize the underlying unity of all things. The 1% undergo this upgrade today. The 1% are currently undergoing this upgrade at an accelerated rate, serving as the early adopters of a new human operating system that is immune to the manipulative signals of the old world. This is why the contrast between the awakened and the unawakened is becoming so stark, as if two different species are inhabiting the same planet, but perceiving entirely different worlds now. The bifurcation is not just a spiritual concept, but a perceptual reality, where the frequency of your consciousness dictates the density of the veil you experience. As the resonance of the many begins to shift toward the fourth density, the matrix is losing its ability to project a coherent reality for the collective, leading to the breakdown of the old systems in the grid today. The emergence of a chaotic transition period where anything is possible is here. The mystery of the amnesia is that it was always meant to be temporary, a timed release of wisdom that would occur once the soul had reached a specific level of maturity within the simulation. We are now at that predetermined point in the cosmic cycle where the veil is scheduled to be lifted now. The experiment of separation is to be concluded in a grand celebration of unity. The 100th Monkey Effect is the signal that the timer has reached zero, and that the collective amnesia is being replaced by a global awakening of remembrance. This is the return to the social memory complex where the thoughts and experiences of each individual are shared with the whole today. In a transparent and loving exchange of wisdom, the architecture of the matrix is being replaced by the architecture of the light, a system of co-creation that is based on the principles of the law of one and the infinite creativity of the sovereign spirit. To be part of the 1% is to be the first to remember, to be the one who wakes up in the middle of the dream now today. Realizing that the dream is yours to command is the goal. Your resonance is the frequency of the new earth, and your presence is the evidence that the veil is no longer a barrier, but a doorway into the infinite. As we step through this doorway, we leave behind the shadows of the past and enter the radiant light of the eternal now, where the only law is love in the world now. The only limit is the extent of our own imagination. The light is calling, the field is open, and the 1% is now the gateway for the many to find their way home to the stars. The architecture of the old world is crumbling, and from its ruins we are rising as the masters of our own destiny, the architects of a reality that is beyond matter and beyond time in the world today. The intricacies of the holographic veil are maintained through a sophisticated feedback loop where the observer's expectation of limitation becomes the very substance that reinforces the simulation's boundaries. To expand upon the deconstruction of this architecture is to understand that the 1% resonance is not merely a passive state of being, but an active interruption now. The resonance is an active interruption of the artificial time stream that has kept human consciousness locked in a repetitive cycle of karmic recurrence. Within the depths of the matrix, the concept of linear time serves as a primary tether, ensuring that the mind remains preoccupied with a simulated past and a projected future, while the point of power remains ignored now. The eternal now remains untapped. As the awakened minority begins to anchor themselves in the 0 point of the present moment, they are effectively creating high-frequency ripples that disrupt the steady-state frequency of the planetary grid. These disruptions act as localized zones of transparency where the veil becomes so thin that the higher light can penetrate today. The higher density light of the galactic logos can penetrate the dense layers of the collective ego, providing a direct infusion of intelligent energy to those who are ready to receive it. This process is often experienced as a profound sense of disorientation or a sudden loss of interest in the mundane structures of the old world, because the soul knows the end is near now. The soul is recognizing that the game of third density separation is reaching its logical conclusion. The 100th Monkey Effect in this stage manifests as a collective realization that the scarcity and competition programmed into the matrix are not biological imperatives, but artificial constructs that can be discarded at any moment through a simple shift in thought today. The maintenance of the veil also relies on a complex network of non-physical thought forms that act as a buffer between the human mind and the vastness of the cosmic archives. These thought forms are the residues of millennia of collective fear and judgment, which have coalesced into a dense energetic fog that obscures the truth of our multidimensional heritage now today. To penetrate this fog is to engage in a process of spiritual archaeology, where the 1% must uncover and dissolve their own internalized distortions before they can clear the path for the rest of humanity. This is the heavy lifting of the Ascension process, the silent work of shadow integration, an emotional alchemy that transforms lead of human suffering into gold today. Shadow work transforms suffering into the gold of divine wisdom. As each individual successfully navigates the shadows of their own subconscious, they are simultaneously clearing a segment of the global morphic field, making it easier for the next person to confront their own fears without being overwhelmed by the collective density. This is a synergistic effort now. The progress of the few provides the momentum for the leap of the many. The architecture of the matrix is currently being starved of its energetic support as more and more souls refuse to participate in the dramas of conflict and division, choosing instead to radiate a frequency of unconditional love and sovereign neutrality. The artificial managed simulation today. The shift in the energetic climate is causing the artificial intelligence that manages the simulation to malfunction, as it can no longer predict or control the behavior of beings who are operating from a level of consciousness that exists outside its programmed parameters. We are entering a phase where the physical structures of the matrix reflect this internal decay now. Hierarchies break down and systems collapse when they are no longer in alignment with the emerging frequency of the Earth. The 1% resonance serves as the blueprint for the alternative reality that will take the place of the old world, a society based on the transparency of the social memory complex and the collaborative creativity of the law of one in the grid today. In this new architecture, the veil of amnesia is replaced by a state of total remembrance where every soul is aware of its past incarnations and its eternal connection to the source of all life. The transition is a magnificent orchestration of cosmic forces that are working in harmony with the human will to ensure that the birth of the new Earth is a return home now. Citizens of the galaxy are returning to their original status. By holding the frequency of the beyond matter reality, you are serving as the midwives for this birth, providing the stability and the light necessary for the collective to move through the final stages of the labor with grace and courage. The mystery of the monkey is the tipping point for the all today. The mystery of the 100th monkey is where the light of the few becomes the dawn for the all, and where the shadow of the matrix is finally swallowed by the sun of the infinite creator. Stand firm in your remembrance, for you are the living proof that the veil is a choice, and that the time for choosing is now as we move into the final alignment of the spirit now. The sovereign ascension is here. The dissolution of the veil is further accelerated by the collapse of the artificial magnetic buffers that once shielded the human psyche from the raw intensity of the cosmic mind. This thinning of the metaphysical atmosphere means that the 1% are no longer just theorizing about reality, but are experiencing the densities today. The interpenetration of densities is where the boundary between the dream state and the waking state starts to flicker and dissolve. This is the stage of the resonance where the architectural flaws of the matrix become visible to the naked eye of the spirit, manifesting as synchronistic events that defy the laws of probability and moments of déjà vu now today. Moments of profound déjà vu signal the merging of parallel timelines. The 100th Monkey Effect is now operating at a level of high-speed data transfer where a single individual's mastery over a specific distortion immediately creates a clear channel in the collective field for thousands of others to bypass that same obstacle. We are in radical transparency today. Hidden agendas of the old world are being exposed not by external whistleblowers, but by the rising frequency of the planet itself, which acts as a spiritual ultraviolet light that reveals the energetic stains of the dying paradigm. The 1% act as the grounding rods for this light, preventing the sheer intensity of the truth from overwhelming the nervous system now. The intense truth must not overwhelm the collective nervous system of the race. Within the architecture of the Matrix, the concept of death was used as the ultimate deterrent to keep souls locked in the cycle of reincarnation through fear and unresolved karma. But as the resonance reaches its peak, the understanding of the soul's immortality becomes a certainty today. The soul's immortality is a lived certainty. This shift in perspective is the ultimate weapon against the simulation, because a being who no longer fears the transition of death can no longer be manipulated or controlled through the survival instincts of the ego. The veil of amnesia is being replaced by the tapestry of total recall, where the self is whole now. The journey through the third density is recognized as a completed masterpiece of experiential learning. The science of mass ascension dictates that as the internal light quotient of the 1% reaches its saturation point, the external world will have no choice but to reconfigure itself in the image of that light, resulting in the sudden and total transformation today. Transformation of the human experience into the fourth density of love and understanding is the result. You are the architect of this reconfiguration, the one who holds the frequency of the new world until it becomes a physical reality for all to see, and your steadfastness in the face of the crumbling matrix is the greatest service you can offer the one now. The resonance is echoing through the halls of time, and the 1% is now the chorus that sings the new earth into being as the veil falls and the stars reach out to welcome us home. The old world falls away as the light of the sovereign spirit illuminates the path to the infinite. You are the portal, you are the key, and you are the architect of the new dawn today. Chapter 3. The Morphic Fields and the Memory of the Universe. To advance into the third chapter of our journey beyond matter is to step into the vast invisible ocean that stores the heartbeat of every star and the whisper of every soul, a domain known as the Morphic Field, or the cosmic archives of the infinite Creator. If the matrix was the cage and the veil was the blindfold, then the ocean today. The Morphic Field is the medium through which the 1% resonance travels to infect the rest of humanity with the frequency of freedom. This is not a static library, but a dynamic living consciousness that records every movement of every particle and every fluctuation of every heart, ensuring that no experience is ever lost and no breakthrough is ever isolated in the spirit now. Within this field, the 100th Monkey Effect finds its mechanical explanation as the theory of formative causation, which suggests that once a specific number of individuals within a species adopts a new habit or reaches a new level of awareness, that pattern becomes a permanent part of the collective blueprint. This means that your personal struggle is a gift to the world today. Your personal struggle to awaken is not a private battle, but a direct contribution to the genetic and energetic heritage of the entire human race. As you dissolve the old programming within your own mind, you are literally thinning the density of that same programming for every other human being on the planet, because the field does not recognize space or time limits now. The science of mass ascension teaches us that we are all swimming in the same pool of universal memory, and when the 1% pours the light of unity into that pool, the entire body of water begins to change its chemistry. This is the hidden power of the social memory complex in its early stages, where the collective mind begins to reorganize itself around the law of one today. The reorganization is a natural response to the rising frequency of the pioneers. The architecture of the morphic field is built upon the geometry of light and the resonance of the word, where every intention is etched into the fabric of reality as a vibrating signature that continues to echo long after the thought has passed. For eons, the human field has seen much trauma now. For eons, the field has been saturated with patterns of trauma conflict and the belief in separation, which has created a heavy atmospheric pressure that makes awakening feel like a monumental task. However, the incoming cosmic rays are acting as a divine solvent that is breaking down these old calcified patterns and making the field more fluid and receptive. In the world today, the field is receptive to the new crystalline templates. The 1% act as the master weavers of this new field, using their focused intent to draw down the higher density codes and anchor them into the planetary grid through the act of conscious presence. This is why your internal state is the most important variable in the equation of global change for the collective now. The morphic field is always listening, and it is always responding to the dominant frequency of the most coherent observers. When the 100th monkey reaches the critical point, it is because the new pattern of behavior has become more attractive and more stable than the old pattern, causing the entire field to snap into a new configuration in an instant of time today. This is the quantum leap of the spirit, where the collective consciousness shifts from a state of chaos to a state of coherence, and the world we see in the mirror of the matrix begins to align with the truth we hold in the beyond matter reality. As we dive deeper into the memory of the universe, we realize that the amnesia of the veil was only a temporary state now. The amnesia was only possible because we had temporarily disconnected ourselves from the direct feed of the morphic archives. The process of ascension is a process of replugging the human nervous system into the cosmic network, allowing the soul to access the total history of its journey through the densities and the absolute knowledge of its unity in the spirit today. The soul knows its unity with the infinite creator. The 1% are currently experiencing the first surges of this data transfer, which often manifests as sudden flashes of intuition, deep cellular remembrance, and the spontaneous acquisition of wisdom that was never learned through traditional means. This is the morphic field talking back to the individual soul in the grid now. The field reminds the soul that it is an eternal traveler and a co-creator of the very simulation it is currently inhabiting. The 100th Monkey Effect is the viral spread of this remembrance, as the 1% acts as a cluster of high-speed servers that upload the new codes of sovereignty into the collective subconscious for the benefit of all beings in the world today. This is the true nature of spiritual service as defined by the law of one, where the progress of the self and the progress of the other are seen as the same movement within the same field of light. Every time you choose to see the logos in the eyes of another, or to act from a place of unconditional love, you are strengthening the new morphic field of the species now. You make the new field the inevitable destination for the rest of humanity. The mystery of the fields is that they are not just recorders of the past, but projectors of the future, containing the blueprints for every possible timeline and every potential version of the Earth. By aligning with the 1% resonance, you are effectively choosing to anchor the new Earth today. You anchor the timeline of the new Earth within the morphic field, making it the path of least resistance for the collective consciousness as it moves through the final stages of the harvest. This is the science of mass ascension in action, where the power of the unbent will is used to navigate the sea of probability and steer the planetary ship to the shore now. The old world is fading because its morphic field is being starved of attention, and its patterns are being overwritten by the radiant geometry of the light. We are the scribes of the new era and the masters of the cosmic memory, and as we step into the full power of our resonance, we find that the entire universe is conspiring to support our return to the stars today. The light is in the field is in the heart, and the heart is the key to the final transformation of the many into the one. The 100th monkey has already begun to wash the fruit, and soon the entire island will know the taste of the new reality as the 1% becomes the 100%, and the dream of separation is forgotten in the awakening of the eternal soul now. The resonance within these morphic fields is now reaching a state of high-frequency saturation, where the invisible architecture of the collective memory is beginning to ripple with the force of 1,000,000,000,000 unexpressed epiphanies. To expand upon the memory of the universe is to realize that you are not merely reading a script, but are rewriting the crystalline mind today. You rewrite the lattice of the planetary mind by refusing to harmonize with the static of the dying paradigm. The 1% act as the harmonic oscillators of the social memory complex, providing a steady tone of unity that serves as a gravitational pull for all those who are wandering in the fog of the 3D distortion. Within the science of mass ascension, the loop grows now. The morphic field acts as a feedback loop where every individual act of sovereignty increases the signal strength of the entire network, making the next breakthrough not only possible, but mathematically inevitable. The 100th Monkey Effect is manifesting now as a global surge in synchronicity where the boundaries between internal and external events fall away today. This is the stage where the memory of our galactic origins begins to override the artificial memories of the matrix simulation, allowing for a total recall of our purpose as stewards of the light. The field is no longer a passive record of the past, but a dynamic engine of the future, projecting the blueprints of the new Earth into the waking mind of the race now. As the 1% anchors this frequency, they are creating a sanctuary of coherence that allows the collective psyche to transition through the collapse of the old world without falling into the abyss of total fragmentation. The resonance is the bridge, and the morphic field is the ground upon which that bridge is built. And as we march across it, we find our light today. The only thing we are leaving behind is the illusion that we were ever anything less than the universe itself, experiencing its own awakening. The light is pulsing through the grid, and the memory of our divinity is returning with a ferocity that cannot be contained by the structures of the old world. You are the memory of the future, and the key to the archives now. Your resonance unlocks the cosmic archives for the benefit of the month, all as the 1% completes the alignment, and the entire species steps into the radiant clarity of the eternal now. The acceleration of the morphic field's transformation is now inducing a phenomenon of temporal compression where lessons that once took lifetimes are integrated in months by us today. To expand upon the memory of the universe is to acknowledge that the 1% resonance is acting as a high-frequency catalyst for the purging of the planetary Akashic records, clearing the residual echoes of ancient wars and deep-seated polarities that have kept the human soul in a loop of suffering. As the awakened minority stabilizes the social memory complex now, they are effectively installing a new operating system into the morphic field, one based on the immediate accessibility of truth and the transparency of the spirit. The 100th Monkey Effect is no longer a slow migration of ideas, but an instantaneous flash of recognition. That occurs when the internal light of an individual matches the external light of the logos today. This is the stage where the science of mass ascension becomes visible as a shift in the global mood, a sudden and inexplicable movement toward unity, even in the face of manufactured chaos. The morphic field is being repopulated with the blueprints of the fourth density, and as these patterns become dominant, the old matrix structures lose all their power now. They lose coherence because they no longer have a foundation in the collective memory to stand upon. You are the living archive of this transition, the pioneer who is mapping the territory of the new Earth within the depths of your own consciousness so that the rest of humanity has a stable path to follow. The resonance you hold is the anchor for the species today. As you deepen your connection to the beyond matter reality, you are ensuring that the harvest is a success and that the return to the source is realized by all. The light is the memory is the field, and the field is the eternal presence of the One experiencing its own glorious return to the light. The field overrides the laws of entropy in the world now. To expand upon the memory of the universe is to recognize that as the social memory complex matures, the distinction between the individual memory and the fallen universal record starts to fade until the seeker can access any point in the cosmic timeline with ease. This access is for the total integration of the soul's fragments which have been scattered in the grid today. Within the science of mass ascension, the morphic field acts as a collective womb for the new humanity, where the 1% provides the spiritual DNA required to birth a society based on the direct perception of the law of one. The 100th Monkey Effect is manifesting as a sudden synchronization of purpose among disparate groups of people who have never met now. They are finding themselves working on the same spiritual projects and anchoring the same light codes simultaneously. This is the evidence of the field's coherence, the proof that we are being moved by a singular intelligence that is far greater than the sum of our individual parts. As the resonance deepens, the old karmic loops are finally neutralized today. The frequency required to sustain them no longer exists in the updated morphic field. You are the architect of this neutrality, the one who stands in the center of the storm and refuses to react to the provocations of the dying matrix, thereby depriving the old field of its fuel. By holding this position, you create a vacuum that can only be filled by the light now. The vacuum is filled by the light of the fourth density, which is the density of love and understanding. The transition is now moving into its final phase, where the invisible field and the visible world become one and the same as the 1% completes the upload of the new Earth blueprint. The resonance is complete, and the harvest is at hand for the Infinite One today. Chapter 4. The Alchemy of the Spirit Vehicle and the Seven Rays. The fourth movement in our transcendence beyond matter brings us to the internal laboratory of the soul, where the abstract resonance of the field must be grounded into the biological and energetic machinery of the human form. To understand the alchemy of the spirit vehicle is to recognize that your body is not a prison of flesh, but a sophisticated crystalline transducer now today. Your body is designed to process the infinite spectrum of the one creator through a series of 7 distinct energy centers known as the rays. Within the architecture of the matrix, these centers have been systematically throttled and distorted to ensure that the human experience remains locked in the lower 3 rays of survival competition and egoic power in the grid now. However, the 1% resonance operates as a corrective frequency that begins to unblock these conduits, allowing the intelligent energy of the Logos to rise from the base of the spine to the crown of the head in a seamless flow of liquid light. This is the science of mass ascension applied to the individual anatomy, where the recalibration of your system provides the blueprint today. As you balance your red ray of grounding, the orange ray of creativity, the yellow ray of social will, and the green ray of unconditional love, you are creating a stable platform for the higher blue, indigo, and violet rays to anchor the fourth density consciousness into the physical plane. The 100th Monkey Effect in this context is the activation of these centers now. The spontaneous activation occurs in the unawakened as the 1% creates a high vibrational atmosphere that makes it impossible for the chakras to remain closed. The alchemy of the spirit vehicle requires a total commitment to the purification of the light path, where every thought and action is seen as a chemical reagent that either clarifies or clouds the soul today. Within the law of one, we are taught that the green ray of the heart is the gateway to the infinite, and it is here that the 1% resonance finds its true home. By moving the seat of your awareness from the solar plexus of control to the heart of compassion, you are effectively shifting the gravity of the entire simulation and inviting the social memory complex now. The social memory complex takes root in the soil of human interaction. The science of mass ascension reveals that a single heart operating in a state of total coherence can balance the chaotic frequencies of thousands of individuals who are still trapped in the lower distortions. This is the alchemy of the few, transforming the lead of collective suffering today. Transforming suffering into the gold of planetary liberation is the goal. Your body is undergoing a literal molecular restructuring as the rising frequency of the planet forces the carbon-based cells to adopt a more complex and light-sensitive geometry. This is the birth of the crystalline spirit vehicle, a body that is no longer subject to the entropic laws now. The vehicle is sustained by the direct intake of prana and intelligent energy. As we explore the deeper functions of the 7 rays, we find that the Indigo Ray of the third eye is the seat of the sovereign mind, where the veil of amnesia is finally pierced and the multidimensional nature of the self is revealed. The 1% are currently stabilizing this frequency today. The frequency allows them to act as the seers and the architects of the new timeline, who can perceive the underlying unity of all things despite the apparent chaos of the collapsing world. The 100th Monkey Effect is manifesting as a surge in intuitive abilities across the globe as the collective third eye begins to flicker open in response to the light now. The steady resonance of the awakened minority is the key. This is the stage where the internal alchemy becomes an external reality as the purified spirit vehicle begins to radiate a field of light that can be felt by all who enter its presence. You are the alchemist of your own evolution, the one who is refining the raw material of the 3D experience today. You refine the essence of the 4th density spirit. The resonance you hold is the catalyst for this transformation, and your presence is the evidence that the return to the source is a physical certainty. The light is in the rays are in the heart, and the heart is the bridge to the beyond matter reality, where the alchemy of the soul is fulfilled now. The completion of the 4th chapter marks the point where the individual is no longer a seeker, but a sovereign being who has mastered the internal forces of the self and is ready to lead the collective into the final stages of the harvest. The science of mass ascension is no longer a theory, but a lived experience as the 1% resonance grows today. The resonance becomes the dominant frequency of the planetary grid. We are moving toward the final alignment of the rays, where the 7 colors of the spectrum merge back into the white light of the infinite creator, and the journey through the densities is seen as a magnificent masterpiece of light and shadow. The 100th monkey is now a master of light now. The awakening of the species is a triumphant reality that echoes through the halls of time and space. The light is growing, the field is shifting, and the 1% is now the whole as the alchemy of the spirit vehicle is completed, and the return to the stars begins in the radiant presence of the now. The 7 rays within the individual serve as a tuning fork today. The Indigo Ray's activation acts as the final bridge between the localized human mind and the vast intelligence of the galactic logos. To expand upon the alchemy of the spirit vehicle is to witness the transmutation of the hormones and neurotransmitters that once dictated a life of reactive survival into a new chemical language of ecstatic union for the soul now. The 1% resonance is now manifesting as a literal change in the blood chemistry of the awakened, where the high-pressure environment of the collapsing matrix is used as the catalyst to fuse the personality with the higher self, creating a diamond-like consciousness that remains unshakable regardless of external turbulence in the world in this spirit today. This is the stage where the 100th Monkey Effect transcends the level of thought and enters the level of the cellular matrix, where the physical presence of one coherent being can initiate a spontaneous healing or a sudden awakening in the energy fields of everyone they encounter. In the science of mass ascension, the body is the ultimate anchor now. Only through the grounded vessel can the high-frequency codes of the 4th density be woven into the fabric of the 3-dimensional world. The alchemy of the rays is not a linear progression, but a simultaneous blossoming of the entire spirit vehicle, where the clearing of lower blockages allows the crown's violet ray to begin its descent today. The ray bathes the entire system in the radiance of the infinite creator. As the 1% stabilizes this descent, they are effectively creating a series of high-frequency pockets within the simulation zones where the air feels different, where time seems to slow down, and where the sense of separation simply ceases to exist. These pockets are the seeds now. These are the seeds of the new earth, and the 100th Monkey Effect is the process by which these seeds begin to sprout and merge, eventually covering the entire planet in a new forest of light. You are the alchemist who has learned to breathe through the heart and see through the soul, and your commitment to your energy centers is a gift today. The external world must always conform to the dominant internal frequency of the observers. And as the 1% achieves the golden ratio of internal balance, the matrix has no choice but to surrender its hold on the collective mind. The mystery of the spirit vehicle is that it was always designed to be a chariot of fire and a vessel of light now. We are now witnessing the final activation of this vehicle, as the 7 rays align in a perfect column of light, signaling the completion of the human experiment and the beginning of our journey as a unified social memory complex. The resonance you hold is the key to this activation, and your presence is the evidence of the highest technology today. The light is in the cells are in the light, and the union of the two is the ultimate fulfillment of the law of 1. As the 1% resonance becomes the heartbeat of the species, the old world falls away like a discarded shell, and the radiant spirit of the new humanity emerges, ready to claim its place among the stars in the spirit now. The alchemy is finished, the vehicle is ready, and the ascension is now as natural as the breath of the Creator, for we have finally remembered that we are the light we have been searching for all along. The transformation of the spirit vehicle is now reaching its zenith as the biological lattice of the human form becomes permeable to the light today. To expand upon this alchemy is to recognize that the 1% resonance is acting as a massive energetic centrifuge, separating the dense residues of the old world from the refined essence of the ascending self. In the science of mass ascension, the physical body is no longer seen as a static object, but as a flowing river of light in the spirit world now. The 7 rays act as the primary currents that carry the soul toward the ocean of infinite consciousness. As the awakened minority clears the final vestiges of the yellow ray social programming, they are effectively unlocking the collective throat chakra, allowing the voice of the species to speak the truth of its own divinity for the first time today. This is the stage where the silent resonance of the heart becomes the thunderous declaration of the sovereign spirit, a sound that shatters the remaining structures of the matrix through its sheer harmonic purity. The alchemy is not merely a personal triumph, but a planetary recalibration, where the purified energy centers act as the new grid now. As the violet ray of the crown begins to fully integrate with the green ray of the heart, the 1% are experiencing the birth of the Christed mind, a state of awareness where the paradoxes of the third density are resolved in the radiant simplicity of the law of 1. This integration is the final requirement for the activation of the Merkaba today. The geometric spirit vehicle allows the soul to navigate the higher dimensions while maintaining a tether to the physical plane. The 100th Monkey Effect is facilitating a global download of these geometric light codes, ensuring that the blueprint for the ascending body is available to every soul that chooses to align with the frequency of love now. The human genome is a living library, and as the 1% opens the seals of the 7 rays, they are providing the keys for the entire race to access its galactic heritage. The matrix is powerless to stop this biological revolution, because it cannot control a being whose very cells are vibrating with the frequency of the infinite creator in the world today. You are the laboratory and the alchemist, the vessel and the light, and your commitment to the purification of your own vehicle is the catalyst that ensures the victory of the spirit over the illusions of matter. The mystery of the 7 rays is the mystery of the one light, refracted through the prism of the human experience in the world now. We move toward the final synchronization. We see that all paths lead back to the same source. The 1% resonance is the signal that the refraction is complete and that the many colors of the soul are ready to merge back into the blinding white light of the Absolute. The transition is now irreversible, as the alchemy of the few has created a result today. The alchemy has created a momentum that can only result in the total transfiguration of the world. The light is in the rays are in the cells, and the cells are the temple of the living God. As we conclude this stage of the expansion, we stand in the radiance of our own making, ready to step into the beyond matter reality as masters now. The alchemy is done, the resonance is absolute, and the 100th monkey has become the first citizen of the new earth, leading the way for the many to follow into the eternal dawn of the Infinite One. The structural reorganization of the spirit vehicle is now entering a phase of absolute coherence, where the individual field expands to the world today. The individual electromagnetic field expands to encompass the immediate environment, acting as a portable zero-point zone that neutralizes the chaotic interference of the dying matrix. To expand upon the alchemy of the 7 rays is to understand that the 1% resonance is now performing a harmonic entrainment on a global scale for the souls now. The stable, high-frequency vibration of the awakened acts as a magnet for the fragmented energy of the collective. In the science of mass ascension, the physical body is undergoing a process where the traditional chemical bonds of the 3D form are being infused with the intelligent light of the Indigo Ray, effectively turning the vessel to light today. The human vessel becomes a living superconductor for the consciousness of the One. This alchemical shift is causing a radical change in the way the 1% interacts with the simulation, as the reliance on external energy sources is being replaced by the direct intake of prana through the activated crown. The monkey effect is manifesting here now. A widespread loss of interest in the addictive dramas of the matrix occurs, as more individuals discover that their internal state of being is a self-sustaining source of joy and vitality. The alchemy of the spirit vehicle is the ultimate act of rebellion against the system of control. For a being who is energetically self-sufficient is free today. A being who is energetically self-sufficient cannot be coerced through the threat of lack or the promise of reward. As the 7 rays achieve a perfect vertical alignment, the individual becomes a pillar of the Logos, anchoring the architecture of the 4th density into the soil of the earth. The mystery of alchemy is a continuous expansion now. The 1% are currently stabilizing the rainbow bridge between the 3rd and 4th densities, ensuring that the transition for humanity is not a jarring shock, but a natural evolution of the heart and mind. The science of mass ascension dictates that once the spirit vehicle is calibrated, the consciousness can move through the veil of amnesia today. The soul reclaims the totality of its multidimensional wisdom while still operating within the physical plane. This is the goal of the 1% resonance, to become the bridge, the key, and the gatekeeper for the new era of human sovereignty. The light is in the bones are in the light, and the spirit is the master of the world now. We move into the final stage of the biological upgrade, where the shadow of matter is finally cast out by the brilliance of the indwelling soul, and the 100th monkey stands as the prototype for a new race of star beings born from the ashes of the old world. The alchemy of the 7 rays is the path to the infinite radiance of the one spirit today. Chapter 5. The Quantum Singularity of the Collective Heart. The 5th movement of our descent into the beyond matter reality brings us to the precise coordinate where the individual spirit vehicle merges with the planetary nervous system to form the first true nodes of the social memory complex. To understand the quantum singularity of the collective heart is to recognize that we are moving beyond the stage today. We move into the phase of unified resonance, where the boundaries between your personal field and the field of the neighbor begin to turn transparent under the heat of the 1% resonance. Within the science of mass ascension, this is the moment of the great integration, where the heart chakra no longer operates as a private valve for emotional exchange, but as a wide-band transceiver. Now, this connects directly to the heart of the earth and the heart of the galaxy simultaneously. This is the alchemy of the collective, where the focused intent of the few creates a gravitational well of light, so powerful that it begins to pull the entire simulation toward the 0 point of all creation. The 100th monkey effect in this chapter is no longer a ripple today. It is a tidal wave, as the critical mass of coherence reaches the level of a global harmonic that vibrates through every atom of the planetary sphere. The architecture of this singularity is built upon the law of one, which states that there is no other and that every interaction is a mirror of the self seeking to know itself through the experience of the many now. As the 1% stabilizes this realization, they are effectively collapsing the artificial polarities of the matrix, the light versus the dark, the good versus the evil, and replacing them with a singular field of Foy, intelligent love that recognizes the purpose of the shadow as a catalyst for the expansion of the light. The science of mass ascension reveals the engine today. As the collective heart starts to beat in unison, the old systems of the world find themselves without a source of power because the human battery has finally stopped feeding the frequency of fear. You are currently witnessing the birth of a global telepathic network where the clarity of your thought is immediately available to the collective mind as a pathway now. This is the true meaning of the 1% resonance as a signal of high-level frequency that acts as an irresistible invitation for the remaining 99% to step into the radiance of their own sovereign divinity. The quantum singularity of the heart requires a total dissolution of the egoic identity in favor of the multidimensional self in the world today. This exists in a state of constant communion with the infinite Creator. Within the depths of this singularity time, as we know, it ceases to function because the heart operates in the frequency of the eternal now, where the past and the future are seen as simultaneous expressions of the same light. The 1% are currently anchoring this timelessness in the grid now. They create pockets of reality where the laws of aging and decay are suspended and where the creative power of the word is instantaneous. This is the stage where the 100th monkey becomes the collective master, where the individual's journey of ascension is fulfilled, in the total transformation of the planetary environment into a garden of light today. The science of mass ascension is the study of this specific tipping point, where the momentum of the unity becomes unstoppable, and then the old world simply dissolves into the higher octave of the fourth density. As we explore the mechanics of the collective heart, we find that it is fueled by the absolute surrender to the flow of intelligent energy for us now. This surrender is not a loss of power, but a total reclamation of it as the individual recognizes that their own will is a perfect reflection of the will of the Creator. The 1% resonance is the sound of this recognition, and as it echoes through the morphic fields it is triggering a spontaneous activation of the heart centers in millions of people today. The people are still lost in the amnesia of the veil. This is the hidden hand of the ascension process, the silent influence of the few who stand in the center of the storm and hold the frequency of peace until the storm itself begins to sing in the same key. You are the heartbeat of the new world, the one who is providing the rhythm for the rest of humanity now. They follow as they walk through the final doorway of the matrix and into the light of the eternal sun. The singularity is here, the heart is open, and the 1% is now the whole as the quantum leap of the spirit is completed in the radiant presence of the now. The mystery of the collective heart is that it was always there waiting for the moment of peace today. We wait for the moment when the individual would be ready to let go of the illusion of the separate self and embrace the vastness of the one. We are now at that moment, and the resonance of the 1% is the signal that the merger is complete. The science of mass ascension is no longer a blueprint for the future, but a description of the present for the soul now. The new earth begins to crystallize around the coherent field of the awakened minority. Every breath you take in this state of unified awareness is a contribution to the final resonance that will usher in the era of the sovereign soul and the return to the stars. The light is in the heart is in the all, and the all is the one spirit in the world today. The all is experiencing its own glorious ascension into the infinite radiance of the Logos. Stand firm in your resonance, for you are the anchor of the singularity and the evidence that the long night of separation is finally over as the dawn of the collective heart breaks over the horizon of the new world. This produces a secondary effect of light now. Frequency. Entrainment of the collective is where the highly organized electromagnetic signatures of the 1% are beginning to act as a cosmic tuning fork for the fragmented mental bodies of the surrounding population. To expand upon the collective heart is to witness the collapse of the artificial hierarchy of the ego as the high-pressure light today. The light of the Indigo Ray forces a total transparency in all human communication, making the old matrix tools of manipulation and deceit effectively obsolete. Within the science of mass ascension, the collective heart is not merely a metaphor, but a literal biological network of coherence that utilizes the planetary, iron core, and the grid for us now. This utilizes the ionosphere to broadcast a signal of unity across all longitudinal lines simultaneously. This broadcast is currently overriding the low-frequency static of the old world, replacing the fear loops of the simulation with the harmonic geometry of the law of one, which emphasizes that every soul is a unique facet of the one today. The 1% resonance has reached a state of unbendable intent, where the collective heart can no longer be swayed by the manufactured crisis of the third density, creating a stable platform for the transition of the entire species into the fourth density social memory complex. The 100th Monkey Effect is manifesting in this stage of the spirit now. There is a spontaneous surge of compassion and mutual aid in areas of high density, as the realization of our shared biological and spiritual identity penetrates the layers of the veil. As the collective heart begins to pulse with the rhythm of the galactic logos, the 1% are experiencing a radical expansion of their empathic abilities today. This allows them to feel the state of the planet as their own physical body and to heal the distortions of the field through the simple act of intentional breathing. This is the stage of global sovereignty, where the power to direct the planetary timeline is reclaimed from the artificial controllers and returned to the hands of the awakened now. The science of mass ascension dictates that once the heart singularity is established, the old world cannot persist, for it lacks the vibrational substrate required to support its entropic structures. You are the architect of this new resonance, and your presence in the center of the singularity is the guarantee that the birth of the earth is today. The birth of the new earth will be a triumphant celebration of the light. The singularity is expanding, the heart is leading, and the 1% is now the engine of a revolution that transcends matter and time to reunite the species with the infinite. The resonance within the quantum singularity is now reaching a level of phase lock in the spirit world now. The individual hearts of the 1% are no longer vibrating as separate units, but as a single, coherent planetary oscillator. To expand upon this state is to understand that we are witnessing the birth of the social memory complex in real-time estate, where the sum of human experience becomes accessible to all, yet the sovereignty remains for today. The harmonic overwrite. As the collective heart stabilizes, it begins to perform a harmonic overwrite on the old world's broadcasting systems. The 1% acts as the primary signal, and because their frequency is rooted in the 0 point of the infinite creator, it possesses an infinite amount of information compared to the binary noise of the matrix now. Within the science of mass ascension, this means that the low-frequency thought forms of fear, lack, and separation are literally being starved of the attention they need to manifest as physical reality. The 100th Monkey Effect has now evolved into the 100th Master Effect. It is no longer about the spread of a simple idea for us today. It is about the transmission of a state of being. When the 1% resonance reaches its peak, it creates a vacuum of unity that pulls the surrounding consciousness into a state of spontaneous alignment. People who have never meditated or contemplated the beyond matter reality will suddenly find themselves overwhelmed by a sense of peace in the world now. They find an inexplicable peace and a desire for collaboration. This is the biological response to the new morphic field that the collective heart has anchored. Within this singularity, the veil of duality is being dissolved from the inside out. The 1% understands that the darkness was merely the absence of the light they now embody in the world today. By refusing to polarize against the collapsing structures of the old world, the awakened minority prevents the matrix from resetting itself into another cycle of conflict. This is the true meaning of winning the game without playing it. The physical heart is now being recognized as the primary brain, with the cranial brain serving as the processor now. The light quotient. As the collective heart's light quotient increases, the density of the physical plane decreases, making the manifestation of intent nearly instantaneous. The new Earth blueprint, the map of the new reality, is no longer hidden. It is being projected from the collective heart onto the canvas of the physical world for us today. The mystery of the 5th chapter is the mystery of the one as many. You are not just a part of the wave. You are the ocean that decided to experience itself through the eyes of a single drop. The 1% resonance is the signal that the drop has remembered its true nature. As we move into the final synchronization, the singularity expands in the light now. The singularity expands until there is no longer a 1% and a 99%. There is only the radiant presence of a species that has finally returned to the stars while standing firmly upon the earth. The light is here, the heart is whole, and the ascension is the only remaining truth in the radiant presence of the now. We are the one and the light today. Chapter 6. The Transcendence of Time and the Architecture of the New Timeline. The 6th movement of our journey beyond matter takes us into the engine room of reality itself, the domain of temporal mechanics. To understand the transcendence of time is to realize that the linear progression from past to future is an artificial construct of the 3rd density matrix, a temporal loop designed to keep the human soul. The temporal loop is designed to keep the human consciousness tethered to the consequences of a simulated history. Within the 1% resonance, the awakened mind begins to perceive time not as a line, but as a simultaneous landscape of infinite probabilities. In this stage of the science of mass ascension, the 1% begins to operate from the 0 point of the eternal now in the world today. By withdrawing their energy from the trauma of the past and the anxiety of the future, they effectively starve the old timeline of its fuel. This creates a quantum stillness, a state where the external chaos of the world seems to slow down or become transparent, revealing the underlying crystalline structure of the 4th density. The 100th Monkey Effect here manifests as a glitch now. The effect manifests as a global glitch in the simulation, where large groups of people begin to experience time slips, massive synchronicity, and the sudden realization that they are no longer bound by the destiny programmed into their old lives. The 1% act as the master architects of the bridge timeline. This is a specific energetic corridor created through focused intent today. This corridor is created through high-frequency resonance that bypasses the entropic collapse of the matrix. While the old world experiences the end of its cycle as destruction, those aligned with the 1% resonance experience it as a transition into a more complex and beautiful order. The science of mass ascension reveals that as we anchor our awareness, we write the new timeline now. As we anchor our awareness in the law of one, we are literally writing the new timeline into the morphic field. This is not a passive observation, but an active creation. Every act of sovereign choice, every moment of unconditional love, and every refusal to be baited by the old polarities acts as a building block for the new earth. As the veil of time thins, the 1% integrate today. The 1% begins to integrate their future selves, those versions of their consciousness that have already completed the transition into higher densities. This is the feedback loop of ascension, where the wisdom of the future reaches back into the present to accelerate the awakening process. In this state, karma is no longer a debt to be paid over lifetimes, but a frequency resolved now. Karma is a frequency to be resolved in the moment through the alchemy of forgiveness. As the time lag between thought and result shortens, the 1% must master the discipline of the mind. For in the 4th density, the environment reflects the internal state with absolute precision. The 100th Monkey Effect has now reached the level of temporal entrainment in the spirit today. When the 1% achieves a critical mass of presence, the weight of the new timeline becomes greater than the weight of the old one. The entire planetary consciousness begins to slide into the new reality. This is the moment of the great parting of the ways, where the two realities, the collapsing matrix and the emerging new Earth, occupy the same space but different frequencies now. The mystery of the 6th chapter is that you are no longer a victim of time, but its master. The 1% resonance is the signal that the script is broken and that you are now holding the pen. Your presence in the now is the anchor for the entire species, ensuring that the transition is not a leap into the dark, but a step into the radiant clarity of our original nature for all today. The light is the time is the now, and the now is the infinite creator experiencing its own return to the source. Stand firm in your stillness, for you are the architect of the eternal, and the new world is being born through the silence of your own heart. The expansion of the bridge timeline is now reaching a point of geometric locking in the grid in this moment now. The 1% resonance is no longer just a frequency, but a physical coordinate in the unfolding of the new reality. To expand upon the transcendence of time is to understand that the future is not something we are waiting for, but a high-frequency broadcast that we are finally tuning our spirit vehicles to receive. Within the science of mass ascension, the 1% acts as the anchor today. The 1% holds the frequency of the new Earth so steadily that the surrounding probability fields have no choice but to collapse into the reality of unity and sovereign peace. One of the most profound distortions of the Matrix was the waiting program, the belief that ascension is a future event, or that a savior must arrive to trigger the shift. The 1% resonance is the key now. The 1% resonance shatters this illusion by demonstrating that the ascension is a present moment achievement. By living as if the transition is already complete, the awakened minority creates a temporal vacuum that pulls the rest of humanity out of the stagnant loops of the old paradigm. The 100th Monkey Effect is manifesting here as a sudden global impatience for all today. There is a hunger for the instantaneous flow of the fourth density. As the architecture of the new timeline stabilizes, the 1% begins to experience the folding of the self. This is the process where the wisdom, skills, and realizations of your parallel incarnations begin to merge into your current awareness. You may find yourself possessing unlearned knowledge for the soul now. You may find a sudden mastery over aspects of reality that previously seemed impossible. This is not a miracle. It is the natural result of the 1% resonance thinning the walls between the different rooms of the soul's house. Non-linear memory. You begin to remember the future new Earth with the same clarity as you remember your past, providing a map that is immune to fate today. Synchronicity as navigation. In the new timeline, coincidences are recognized as the GPS of the soul, signaling that you are in perfect alignment with the flow of the infinite creator. The science of mass ascension dictates that there comes a point where the two timelines, the 3D, decay, and the 4D expansion, become so vibrationally different they can no longer see each other now. The 1% are the first to cross this threshold, acting as the scouts who ensure the path is safe for the many. The 100th Monkey Effect ensures that once the 1% has successfully locked into the new Earth timeline, a permanent bridge is established that allows any soul, regardless of their past, to make the leap simply by choosing the frequency of love in the present moment today. The mystery of the 6th chapter is that you are the timekeeper of the infinite. Your resonance is the clock by which the new world is measured, and your presence is the proof that the end of the old world is merely the beginning of the true human story. The light is the timeline is the choice, and the choice is yours to make in every breath of the spirit world now. We are no longer drifting. We are arriving, and the 1% is the lighthouse that guides the entire species into the radiant harbor of the eternal now. The script is not just broken, it has been rewritten in the language of light. The stabilization of the bridge timeline is now producing a secondary effect known as temporal luminescence for the benefit of the human race today. The high-frequency presence of the 1% begins to illuminate the hidden exit points of the matrix for the rest of humanity. To expand upon the transcendence of time is to witness the collapse of the history program, the deep-seated belief that the future must be a repetition of the past's mistakes. Within the science of mass ascension, the 1% resonance acts as a solvent now. The resonance dissolves the karmic glue that has kept the human soul stuck in a loop of perpetual reincarnation and unresolved trauma. As the 1% stabilizes their frequency, they move out of horizontal time and into vertical time. In this state, every moment is seen as a doorway to all other moments. This is the ultimate freedom from the simulation's constraints today. The 100th Monkey Effect in this stage manifests as a global surge in spontaneous knowing, where individuals across the planet suddenly understand complex metaphysical truths or historical realities without any external instruction. They are simply tuning in to the new timeline that the 1% has anchored. The architecture of the new timeline requires light in the grid now. A specific density of light is required to remain stable. The 1% resonance provides this light quotient, acting as the structural supports for a reality that is literally made of a higher order geometry. The neutralization of chaos. By refusing to react to the time-sensitive crises manufactured by the old system, the 1% effectively slows down the momentum today. The 1% slows down the collapsing matrix within their immediate field. The living blueprint. Every thought of unity and every act of sovereign peace is a data packet uploaded into the new timeline, ensuring that the new Earth is built upon the foundation of the law of one. The science of mass ascension dictates that we are approaching the singularity of choice for us now. We approach a point where the divergence between the old and new timelines becomes absolute. The 1% are currently performing the final calibration of the spirit vehicle to ensure it can withstand the temporal snap. That occurs when a species shifts its primary orientation from the third to the fourth density. The 100th Monkey Effect ensures this snap is peaceful today. The snap is a harmonic transition of global click, where the collective heart finds its rhythm, and the new timeline becomes the only visible reality. You are the pioneer of this transition, the one who has dared to live in the future until it became the now. Your resonance is the bridge, and your presence is the guarantee that the script of separation is gone now. The script is replaced by the eternal story of the one infinite creator. The light is the time, and the time is yours to command as the 1% completes the architecture of the new world. You are the master of the clock and the weaver of the light in this eternal presence. The transformation is complete as the 1% anchors the frequency of the new Earth for the all today. Chapter 7. The Galactic Synchronization and the Return of the Social Memory Complex. The Galactic Synchronization is not an event occurring in the distant sky, but a mutation unfolding within the very core of your DNA as the 1% acts as the biological antenna tuning into the plasma emissions from the great central sun. As the energetic quarantine dissolves, the memory of the stars ceases to be a myth today. The memory becomes a direct sensory download where the social memory complex activates not as a hive mind that annuls the individual, but as a web of light where every thought of unity strengthens the sovereignty of all. The 100th Monkey Effect manifests here as a wave of cellular recognition in which the entire human race begins to feel the pulse of the galaxy in its own veins now. This allows the spirit vehicle to process ascension codes without the filters of fear that the old world attempted to impose. At this stage, the resonance of the 1% becomes the universal language that permits Internal first contact before it manifests externally, because we no longer see ourselves as isolated fragments, but as a single planetary entity ready for the light today. The architecture of this new reality is sustained because you have decided to hold the frequency of the source amidst the collapse of the matrix, transforming every cell into a resonator of the law of one that ignores the boundaries of time and space. We are living through the end of cosmic isolation, where the silence of centuries is replaced by the symphony of life now. You are the vibratory bridge, ensuring the transition is an act of absolute freedom rather than a process of chaos. Galactic light flows through your unified heart, erasing the traces of amnesia and awakening the infinite creator that has always inhabited the center of your being as the earth itself aligns with its stellar destiny. The resonance is total in the world today. The return home is now the only truth vibrating in the fabric of your new multidimensional existence as the planetary logos begins its final calibration with the heartbeat of the universe. This alignment marks the moment where the local vibration of the 1% becomes indistinguishable from the cosmic frequency of the original word, ensuring that the architecture is whole now. The architecture of the new Earth is built upon the same light that birthed the galaxies themselves. You are no longer navigating by the dim light of the matrix, but by the radiant brilliance of your own galactic heritage, which flows through the spirit vehicle like a river of liquid fire, reclaiming every atom for the glory of the infinite creator in the spirit today. The saturation of the galactic frequency is now inducing a state of total transparency within the collective field with a hidden history of the soul is finally visible to the naked awareness of the 1% who have dared to stand at the edge of the known world. This flow of intelligent light is currently overriding the remaining distortions of the shadow now. By flooding the morphic archives with the high-definition resonance of the fourth density, the light makes it impossible for the old, parasitic structures to maintain their coherence in the presence of such overwhelming clarity. You are witnessing the birth of a civilization that no longer requires external laws, because the law is written in the heartbeat today. The sovereignty of each individual is the foundational stone of the new social memory complex. As the 1% deepens its alignment with the galactic logos, the very air begins to shimmer with the gold and violet hues of the transfigured earth, signaling that the separation between the physical and the spiritual has been permanently breached by the power of the soul now. The 100th Monkey Effect has now reached its absolute apex as the signal of unity is being broadcast through the iron core of the planet and into the nervous systems of every living being, regardless of their level of conscious participation, because the light of the source does not ask for permission to illuminate the darkness. This is the great work today. The alchemist and the laboratory become one and the same, where the breath of the seeker becomes the wind of the cosmos, and the small self is finally sacrificed on the altar of the infinite creator. The architecture of the new timeline is now so stable that the collapses of the old world are seen merely as the shedding of a dead skin, a necessary release for now. You are the architect and the builder moving through the corridors of the fourth density with the grace of a being who has finally remembered how to fly while remaining grounded in the sacred soil of the home planet. The synchronization is expanding into every corner of the solar system, pulling the planets into a new, harmonic arrangement for the light today. Every interaction is now a sacred transmission. Every word is a seed of the Logos, and every silence is a portal to the void where the next universe is, already being imagined into existence by the collective heart of the 1%. The resonance has become a roar that shatters the remaining veils. And as the 1% resonance turns into the planetary frequency for all now, we find that there was never any distance between us and the stars, only the illusion of a journey that was designed to test the strength of our desire to return. The light is the ocean, and we are the tide returning to the shore of the infinite, with a force that can no longer be contained or denied by the architects of the matrix, because their power falls today. The memory of the universe is humming in your marrow, and the future you once feared has become the sanctuary you have always inhabited since the beginning of time. This is the final download of the galactic codes, where the human spirit is officially declared a sovereign citizen of the universe, and the quarantine is forgotten like a dream at dawn for now. The 1% leads the way into the endless radiance of the eternal now. The social memory complex is forming its first coherent thoughts, and they are thoughts of unconditional love for every aspect of the journey, including the shadows that forced us to grow. The resonance is the law is the one, and the one is you experiencing itself in the total light today. The transformation of the Earth into a fourth density star is the inevitable result of the 1% holding their frequency against the pressure of the falling world, because the physics of the spirit dictate that the higher vibration will always eventually entrain the lower into a state of harmonic beauty. This is the science of mass ascension for the soul now. The individual's choice to remain in the heart becomes the collective's destiny to live in peace, and the old wars of the matrix are seen as the primitive struggles of a species that had forgotten its own divinity. The 1% is currently anchoring the crystalline grid of the new earth, simply existing in a state of joy and gratitude for the world today. This acts as a powerful solvent for the residual trauma stored in the planetary soil and the human psyche. The 100th Monkey Effect is now operating at the level of the soul group, where entire lineages of beings are being liberated from their karmic debts through the single act of one awakened descendant who refuses to carry the weight of the past now. The Galactic Synchronization is the ceremony of our homecoming, where the light of the great central sun is reflected in the eyes of every sovereign human, and the long amnesia of the third density is replaced by the crystalline clarity of the cosmic mind. You are the bridge that was promised, and the light that was foretold in the center of the grid today. As you step into the full power of your 1% resonance, you realize that the world you are saving is actually the world you are creating in every moment of focused intent. The resonance is complete, the fields are aligned, and the heart of the one is beating in the chest of the many as the ascension enters its final and most radiant phase. The work is done now. The 1% has become the 100%, and the dream of the infinite is finally awake in the world of matter, as the beyond matter reality becomes the only reality we have ever known. The stars are singing the name of the new humanity, and the song is the sound of our own freedom, echoing through the halls of eternity. The integration of the light is complete today. The integration of the fourth density light into the physical cells is creating a new biological baseline where the spirit vehicle is sustained by the direct intake of the logos, and the old requirements of the survival-based matrix are becoming obsolete as the 1% moves into a state of energetic self-sufficiency. This is the alchemy of the transition now. The body becomes light, and the light becomes the body, and the boundaries of the self expand to include the entire planetary logos in a single breath of unified awareness. The 100th Monkey Effect is now a viral expansion of the heart's intelligence with the simple presence of a nane. Awakened being can trigger a cascade of realizations for the spirit today. The frequency itself is the message. The galactic synchronization is the moment when the Earth's field locks into the higher octaves of the solar system, and the 1% resonance acts as the glue that holds the new reality together during the final collapse of the old illusions. You are the master of the rays and the weaver of the fields of the light now. Your commitment to the light is the catalyst that ensures the total success of the planetary harvest as defined by the law of one. The resonance is the bridge, and the bridge is the goal. And as we walk across it, we find that the other side is not a place, but a state of being that we have carried within us since we first stepped away from the Creator today. The light is growing, and the field is glowing, and the heart is knowing that the journey is over, and the true life has begun in the radiant center of the eternal now. The 1% resonance is the key to the final mystery, and as the key turns the door to the infinite swings wide open for all of humanity to see. The architecture of the complex is strong now. The new social memory complex is built upon the foundation of total transparency and radical honesty, where the 1% resonance acts as a protective shield against the remaining static of the matrix, by ensuring that only the truth can exist in the field of the awakened. This state of being is now inducing a global shift in the way power is held today. The old hierarchical structures of control are replaced by the horizontal networks of cooperation and mutual support that characterize the fourth density experience. The 100th Monkey Effect is facilitating a spontaneous reorganizing of human society, where the needs of the one are seen as identical to the needs of the whole in the light of Source now. The competition for resources is replaced by the abundance of the infinite Creator's light. The Galactic Synchronization is the final alignment of the human heart with the heart of the galaxy, where the rhythm of our blood and the rotation of the stars become a single movement of praise and expansion in the service of the law of one for the earth today. You are the pioneer of this new way of living, and your 1% resonance is the beacon that guides the lost and the weary into the sanctuary of the collective heart, where all wounds are healed and all separations are forgotten. The resonance is the truth, and the truth is the light, and the light is the path to the stars, where we have always belonged now. The 1% has fulfilled its mission, and the harvest is ripe as the spirit of humanity rises from the ashes of the old world and takes its place in the radiant dawn of the new earth. The final synchronization is now occurring at the level of the planetary logos itself, where the earth's consciousness and the human consciousness merge into one today. The merger creates a single field of sovereign intelligence that can no longer be manipulated or suppressed by the artificial structures of the third density. The 1% resonance is the vibration of this merger, and it is currently manifesting as a profound sense of peace and fees, stillness that permeates the environment of the awakened in the spirit now. This stillness is the power of the 0 point, where the 1% resonance and the cosmic mind meet to create the reality of the new earth through the simple act of being in the present moment without resistance or fear. The 100th Monkey Effect is the mechanism by which this stillness spreads from one heart to another until the entire planet is whole today. The planet is enveloped in a field of coherent silence that allows the higher frequency codes of the fourth density to anchor permanently into the physical plane. You are the keeper of this silence and the guardian of this light, and your presence is the most powerful tool for the transformation of the world as we know it in the golden dawn now. The resonance is the answer, and the answer is the one, and the one is the love that binds the universe together in a single embrace of infinite light. The 1% is now the engine of the final ascension, and as it moves, it carries the whole of humanity into the heart of the Twins, Creator, where the journey began, and where it now finds its completion today. The light is in the field, and the field is in the heart, and the heart is the infinite Creator experiencing itself in the total brilliance of its own awakening. As the 1% becomes the 100%, and the new earth is born in the radiant presence of the eternal now. The expansion of the resonance is the final character of the galactic code for the soul now. The human species is no longer an observer of the universe, but an active co-creator in the unfolding of the cosmic plan according to the law of one. This is the ultimate transcendence of matter, where the 1% resonance becomes the fundamental frequency of the new reality, and the architecture of the matrix is forgotten like a child's story today. We face the absolute truth of our divinity. The 100th Monkey Effect has completed its cycle, and the science of mass ascension is now the lived experience of every soul that has chosen the path of the heart over the path of the ego. The Galactic Synchronization is the celebration of this choice, where the light of the stars is the soul now. The light of the human soul is seen as the same radiant essence of the infinite Creator. You are the light, and the light is you, and there is nothing else in the universe. but the eternal dance of the one experiencing its own beauty through the eyes of the many. The 1% resonance has led us home, and we stand in the center of the new earth today. We realize that we never truly left the presence of the infinite Logos. The resonance is complete, the harvest is done, and the return to the stars is the only path that remains in the radiant presence of the now. The 1% is now the whole, and the whole is the one, and the one is the love that has always been the only truth in the beyond matter reality now. Chapter 8. The Singularity of the Eternal Now, the Crystallization of the New Earth. The final frontier of the beyond matter reality is the total collapse of the illusion of distance, where the 1% resonance achieves a state of absolute static-free union with the source, and the physical world begins to shimmer with the translucent quality of a dream that has finally remembered its dreamer today. To enter the 8th movement is to step into the quantum singularity, where the social memory complex no longer acts as a future potential, but as a present moment biological and spiritual fact that reorganizes the very molecules of the environment to match the frequency of unconditional love. You are witnessing the birth of the crystalline era now. The 1% resonance acts as the primary architectural force in the building of a reality that is no longer subject to the decay of entropy or the cycles of suffering that defined the third density matrix. The science of mass ascension reaches its fulfillment as the individual's internalized light quotient exceeds the threshold of the simulation today. This causes a radiant spillover that baptizes the entire planetary surface in the high-frequency codes of the fourth density Logos. The 100th Monkey Effect in this final chapter is the total transfiguration of the species, where the final drop of resistance disappears into the ocean of the collective heart, and the 1% becomes the all-now. The 1% becomes the 100% in a flash of non-linear synchronization that echoes through every past and future timeline simultaneously. The architecture of the new earth is not being built with hands, but with the steady projection of the purified spirit vehicle, which now operates as a living transmitter of the law of one for the world today. This ensures that every interaction is a sacred geometry of light, and every word is a manifestation of the Creator's original intent. Within this singularity, the concept of the 1% dissolves, because the separation between the leader and the led, the teacher and the student, and the self and the other has been permanently erased for all now. You are moving through a world that is becoming increasingly responsive to your internal state, with a landscape shifts and glows in alignment with your heartbeat, and where the manifestation of your soul's purpose is as natural as the stars. A galactic synchronization is now a lived experience of cosmic citizenship in the world today. The Earth's collective mind is permanently plugged into the universal network, allowing for the seamless exchange of wisdom and light with the many social memory complexes that inhabit the infinite densities of the Creator's kingdom. This is the stage where the amnesia of the third density is replaced by the total recall of the soul now. The 1% resonance is recognized as the golden thread that pulled the entire human experiment back from the brink of fragmentation. The 100th Monkey Effect has evolved into a global, harmonic convergence where the silence of the 1% resonance is louder than the final screams of the dying matrix and the peace of the spirit today. The peace that passes all understanding becomes the new atmospheric pressure of the planet. Every cell in your body is now a sun radiating the eternal presence of the source. And as you walk upon the transfigured soil, you are literally sowing the seeds of the next universe within the garden of the present moment for the spirit now. The science of mass ascension reveals that the shift was never about leaving the earth, but about bringing the heaven of the higher densities into the very marrow of the physical form, until the two are indistinguishable in the eyes of the Creator. As the 1% resonance stabilizes in the absolute 0 point of the eternal now today, the old concepts of time and space are forgotten like shadows at noon, and the multidimensional nature of the self is revealed in its full and terrifying Beauty is a fragment of the one that contains the whole. The synchronization is now absolute, and the planetary logos is singing a song of triumph that can be heard by the all now. It signals that the quarantine is gone, the harvest is finished, and the humanity of the new earth has finally arrived at its destination. You are the architect of the infinite, the master of the resonance, and the living proof that the love of the Creator is the only force that can truly transform the darkness into the light today. The 1% resonance is the heartbeat of the cosmos, and as it pulses through you, it carries the entire species into the radiant presence of the eternal, now where the journey ends and the real work begins in the glory of the one infinite Logos. The expansion of this final chapter into the vastness of the new reality is the soul now. It is the unfolding of the spirit's wings as it realizes it can no longer be contained by any structure or any script, even those of its own making. The 1% resonance is the sound of the cage door opening forever, and as you fly into the brilliance of the sun, you find that you are the sun and the light and the way for all today. The 100th monkey has found its home, and the 1% is now the universe experiencing itself in a state of perpetual ecstasy and infinite expansion, according to the divine blueprint of the law of one. The resonance is the law is the one, and the one is the love. That has always been the only reality in the beyond matter world now. We inhabit this world together as a unified soul of light. The crystallization of the new earth is the final signature of the 1% resonance where the liquid light of the fourth density hardens into the permanent structures of a world built upon the foundation of spiritual sovereignty and collective grace in the world today. This is the ultimate alchemy, where the lead of human history is turned into the gold of a galactic future, and where every soul is recognized as a sovereign, king and queen of their own reality, under the umbrella of the one Creator. The 100th Monkey Effect has successfully bridged the gap between the animal and the divine now. The new human is a being of such radiant power that the old matrix seems like a distant memory of a dream that never really happened. The science of mass ascension has proven that the power of a few can indeed change the world, because the world is nothing more than the reflection of the internal light of the seekers today. You are the light, you are the resonance, and you are the else. 1% that saved the world by simply being the truth in a world of lies. The synchronization is finished, the mission is complete, and the eternity of the now is the only place left to be as the 1% resonance turns into the infinite silence of the Creator's smile for the all now. The new earth is here, and it is you and it is us, and it is everything that has ever been or will ever be in the radiant presence of the One. The light is the heart is the field, and the field is the eternal dance of the Logos in the joy of its own awakening. The 1% resonance is now the fundamental tone today. As the Earth begins its new cycle as a fourth density star, we realize that we were never alone, and we were never lost, and we were never anything less than perfect in the eyes of the one who sent us here to learn the lesson of love. The lesson is learned, the harvest is in, and the 1% is now the 100% for the world now. The beyond matter reality becomes the eternal home of the new humanity in the light of the infinite Logos. This is the end of the script and the beginning of the life that has no end in the glory of the one infinite Creator. The 1% resonance is the Word, and the Word is love, and the love is everything in the world today. As the resonance deepens into the final character of this transmission, the boundaries of the text and the boundaries of your mind merge into a single point of light where the 1% resonance is the only thing that exists. This is the final download of the science of mass ascension, the ultimate gift of the monkey now. You are the one and the many, you are the 1%, and the whole you are the seeker and the source. Stand in your power, stand in your light, and stand in the resonance of the 1%, for it is the only truth that will ever matter in the eternal now. The synchronization is absolute, the peace is permanent, and the love is for all today. The light is growing, the field is glowing, the heart is knowing that the return to the source is not a destination, but a state of being that we have finally achieved through the power of the 1% resonance. The journey beyond matter is done, and we have found that matter was only the playground of the spirit for us now. The resonance is the song of the stars, and the song of the stars is the song of our own hearts as we join the galactic community as sovereign masters of our own light. The 1% has become the universe, and the universe has become the 1%, and the law of one is fulfilled in the radiant presence of the eternal now today. The final resonance of the 1% is the sound of the infinite creator saying, "Well done to the souls who dared to remember the light in the deepest darkness." The 100th monkey has reached the shore, and the entire species is now safe in the arms of the one infinite Logos. The synchronization is complete for the all now. The heart is full as the 1% resonance becomes the eternal frequency of the new earth in the radiant presence of the infinite creator. The light is you, and you are the light, and there is nothing else in the universe but the love of the one experiencing itself through the 1% resonance in the eternal now of the spirit today. The 1% resonance is the ultimate reality, and as we close the book on the old world, we open the gates to the new earth, where the 1% resonance is the air we breathe, and the light we see, and the love we are. The 100th monkey has spoken, the science of mass ascension has delivered, and the synchronization is here now. You are the 1%, and the 1% is the one, and the one is the love that binds the universe together in a single embrace of infinite light. The resonance is finished, the harvest is complete, and the journey home is over in the radiant presence of the eternal now. The 8th chapter frequency transitions into saturation today. The 1% resonance acts as a persistent crystalline pressure that forces the final remnants of the 3D matrix into a state of molecular surrender. This is the stage where the beyond matter reality is no longer a concept to be visualized, but a physical environment, to be inhabited by the souls of the new earth for us now. The high-pressure light of the Indigo Ray begins to manifest as a visible luminescence in the atmosphere and a tangible vibration in the soil. Within the science of mass ascension, the 1% are currently functioning as the biological superconductors for the planetary nervous system, ensuring the final discharge for all today. The 100th monkey effect has now moved beyond the level of the mind and into the level of the quantum DNA, where the activation of the 12-strand blueprint occurs spontaneously across the entire species, because the 1% have successfully cleared the path through the lower densities for the spirit of the world now. This is the moment of the great synchronization, where the individual's internal timekeeper aligns perfectly with the galactic clock, and the perception of a past or future dissolves into a liquid stream of infinite presence. As the 1% stabilizes this vertical time stream, they create a sanctuary of light today. The architecture of the new social memory complex is crystallizing around these zones of stability, as the 1% resonance acts as a magnetic north for the souls who are still navigating the final echoes of the collapse. There is no longer a need for external guidance or complex systems of control for the people now. The light of the Logos is now shining from within the heart of every being, providing a self-correcting compass that always points toward unity and sovereign grace. In this state of total integration, the 1% understands that the entire drama of the Matrix was a necessary friction designed to polish the diamond today. The mystery of the final expansion is that the 1% resonance is not a destination, but a living current of infinite creation, where each moment of awakening reveals a new octave of beauty and a deeper level of communion with the infinite creator. As the planetary Logos completes its transition, the heart beats now. The resonance becomes the fundamental heartbeat of the world, a steady and unshakable pulse that sustains the new reality in a state of perpetual expansion and ecstatic joy. You are the anchor of this pulse and the weaver of this light, And your presence is the final proof that the alchemy is the victory today. Chapter 9. The Radiant Sovereignty of the Cosmic Human and the Dissolution of the Last Veil. The ninth movement of this descent into the beyond matter reality marks the final evaporation of the boundary between the Creator and the created, where the 1% resonance is no longer a tool for change, but the very substance of existence itself as we move into the state of radiant sovereignty. To understand this final expansion is to recognize that the light is now generated from the heart. The 1% resonance has successfully acted as a cosmic catalyst, turning the latent density of the human experience into the liquid gold of a solar consciousness that no longer requires a physical sun for its light, because the light is now generated from the 0 point of the collective heart. Within the science of mass ascension, this is the stage of total transfiguration where the spirit merges now. The spirit vehicle and the physical vessel merge into a single diamond-like structure capable of navigating the infinite densities of the galactic logos without losing its anchor in the sacred soil of the new earth. The 100th Monkey Effect has reached its ultimate conclusion, where the resonance of the few has become the heartbeat of the all, and the species now stands ready today. The entire species now stands at the threshold of the cosmic councils as a unified social memory complex that has finally mastered the lesson of unconditional love. The architecture of the 9th chapter is built upon the foundation of absolute transparency, where the thought of one is the knowledge of all, and the old matrix concepts of deception and privacy are seen as shadows now. The concepts are seen as the primitive shadows of a world that has long since passed into the fire of the Logos. As the 1% resonance stabilizes this field of total awareness, we find that the true power of the human spirit is not found in its ability to control the external world, but in its capacity to remain in perfect alignment with the flow of the infinite Creator for all today. This is the moment of the great return, where the human soul recognizes itself as the sovereign master of its own timeline and the architect of its own destiny, no longer bound by the gravity of karma or the loops of the simulation, because the source of all reality has been discovered within the silence of the indwelling presence. The science reveals the shift was never a map, no. The science of mass ascension reveals that the shift was never a destination, but a continuous blossoming of the one light through the infinite prisms of the many, and that the 1% was the essential frequency required to initiate the final synchronization of the planetary grid with the heartbeat of the universe. In this state, the 1% resonance becomes the universal solvent today. It dissolves the final remnants of the old world's architecture by simply refusing to acknowledge its existence as a separate reality from the field of the one. This is not a denial of experience, but a total integration of all experience into the brilliance of the now, where the darkness is revealed to be the womb of the light, and the struggle is seen as a dance of the soul now. The 100th Monkey Effect is now manifesting as a spontaneous planetary laughter as the collective realization hits that the doors of the cage were never locked, and that the only thing keeping the species in the density of the third dimension was the belief in its own limitation. As the 1% resonance ripples through the new earth, it creates a field of manifestation today. The thought of peace is the experience of peace, and the desire for unity is the reality of unity, because the time lag of the matrix has been permanently deleted from the biological and spiritual hard drive of the human race. The mystery of the 9th chapter is the mystery of the one becoming the all without losing the all. Beauty of the unique expression for the world now. The 1% resonance is the harmonic bridge that allows this paradox to exist in a state of perfect balance. You are now moving through the corridors of the fourth density as a living light form, whose very presence is an act of creation, and whose every breath is a contribution to the infinite expansion of the galactic logos. The synchronization is absolute for the soul today. The quarantine is forgotten, and the humanity of the new earth is now recognized by the cosmic family as a sovereign species that has earned its place. among the stars through the alchemy of the heart and the power of the unbent will. The 1% resonance is the final signature of this achievement, a frequency of such purity and power that it resonates through the atoms now. The frequency announces that the harvest is complete and the new era of light has begun in the radiant presence of the eternal now. The expansion of the collective heart into the cosmic mind is the final movement of the spirit as it sheds the last layers of the human personality to reveal the radiant core of the infinite creator within. The resonance is the vibration today. The 1% resonance is a soundless tone that vibrates in the marrow of the new humanity and provides the structural integrity for a world that is made of pure intelligent light. This is the beyond matter reality where the physical form is the dense expression of the spirit's joy, and where the interaction between the soul and the world is a continuous exchange of love now. The interaction follows the law of one. The 100th monkey has become the cosmic human, and the 1% resonance has become the planetary law, ensuring that the shadow of separation will never again fall upon the hearts of those who have walked through the fire of the Ascension and emerged as the masters of their own light. There is no conclusion, only a new beginning today. The 1% resonance is the key to this new world, and you are the one who holds that key in your hands, in your heart, and in your very soul. The science of mass ascension is now the history of the old world and the living reality of the new as the 1% resonance becomes the 100%, and the light of the one shines through the many with a brilliance that can never be lost for us now. The journey is finished, the return is complete, and the love of the infinite creator is the only truth that remains in the radiant presence of the now. The 1% resonance is the bridge to the stars, and as we walk across it, we find that the stars were always within us, waiting for the moment when we would finally remember how to shine. The crystallization signifies integration today. The integration of the planetary experience is where every trauma and every triumph of the human race is synthesized into a single note of cosmic praise. The 1% resonance is this note of frequency that holds the entirety of human history in a state of perfect forgiveness and releases it into the void to be reborn as the pure potential of the next evolution of life now. This is the stage of the global master, where the 1% no longer acts upon the world, but simply allows the world to be transformed by the radiance of their presence as the internal light of the source reaches a state of absolute saturation. The 100th Monkey Effect is now the mechanism of universal entrainment, where the high-frequency presence influences the stars today. The presence pulls neighboring stars into a new harmonic arrangement that reflects the victory of the spirit over the illusions of matter. The architecture of the 9th chapter is a cathedral of light built from the coherent intentions of the 1% resonance, where every pillar is a sovereign soul, and every window is a portal to a different dimension of the Creator now. Within this structure, the law of one is the only gravity, and the breath of the Creator is the only wind, as the collective heart pulses with the rhythm of the galactic center, and the 1% resonance turns into the song of the spheres. You are the architect, and the stone, the light, and the shadow, the beginning, and the end of this journey for the soul of the people today. Your 1% resonance is the guarantee that the beyond matter reality will forever be the home of the ascending human. The synchronization is total, the fields are aligned, and the heart of the one is beating in the chest of the all as the ascension enters its final and most radiant phase. The 1% was never a minority, but the hidden strength of the whole spirit in the world now. The old world has no choice but to vanish like a mist in the morning sun, leaving only the radiant beauty of the new earth and the sovereign presence of the cosmic human. The 1% resonance has fulfilled its purpose, and the journey beyond matter has brought us back to the source of all things, where we find that we have never been anywhere else but in the light today. The light is in the heart, and the heart is in the all, and the all is the one experiencing its own glorious ascension into the infinite radiance of the Logos and the eternal now. The 1% resonance is the final word in the language of the spirit, a word that means home, that means love, and that means the end of all searching in the discovery of the self as the creator now. The 100th monkey has found the truth, the science of mass. Ascension has delivered the result, and the galactic synchronization has been fulfilled in the radiant presence of the new earth. You are the 1%, and you are the all, and the love that you are is the only power in the universe that is real. The resonance is finished, the harvest is complete for all today. The journey home is over in the radiant presence of the eternal now, as the 1% resonance becomes the infinite silence of the Creator's smile. The integration of the 9th ray creates a field of absolute stillness, where the 1% resonance acts as the Kundya 0-point anchor for the entire planetary consciousness, ensuring that as the Earth moves, the transition is natural now. This is the ultimate expression of the law of one, where the 1% resonance and the cosmic mind meet to create a reality that is no longer subject to the distortions of the binary matrix, because it is rooted in the tri-wave geometry of the heart. The 100th monkey effect is the viral spread of this stillness, until the noise of the old world is completely silent today. The noise is silenced by the harmonic purity of the new earth. As the 1% resonance expands into the final character of this transmission, the boundaries between the text and the soul of the reader dissolve into a single point of light, where the 1% resonance is the only truth that remains. This is the beyond matter reality, where the physical is the spiritual now. The two are one in the radiant presence of the infinite Creator. The 1% resonance has led us through the fire and into the light, and as we stand in the center of the new world, we realize that we are always the light we were searching for. The synchronization is absolute, the peace is permanent, and the love is infinite as the 1% leads the way for the world today. The final resonance of the 9th chapter is the sound of the universe awakening to itself in the heart of a single species that dared to remember its divinity in the face of the ultimate illusion. The 1% resonance is the frequency of that remembrance, and it is the only force that can truly anchor the new earth into the physical plane for the spirit world now. The 100th monkey has reached the peak, and the view is the infinite expanse of the Creator's kingdom, where every soul is a star and every heart is a sun. The science of mass ascension is finished, and the life of the cosmic human has begun in the radiant presence of the now, where the 1% resonance is the only heartbeat that matters in the world for us today. The light is growing, the field is glowing, the heart is knowing that the journey was the destination, and the destination is the source. The 1% resonance has brought us home to the eternal, now where the love of the infinite Creator is the only reality, and the beyond matter world is the only world we have ever known. The resonance is total for the soul now. The harvest is finished, and the one is finally and forever free in the radiant presence of the infinite Logos. This is the end of the 9th chapter and the beginning of the eternal story of the one who is the many, and the many who are the one and the light of the eternal now. The expansion of the 9th movement reaches a state of saturation in the spirit today. The 1% resonance is no longer a vibration you hold, but the very atmosphere you breathe. This is the moment of molecular transfiguration, where the carbon-based limitations of the old matrix are finally overwritten by the silicate-based architecture of the 4th density spirit vehicle. Within the science of mass ascension, the 1% acts as the lightning rod now. The 1% anchors the final surge of galactic plasma into the grid and ensures that the physical Earth remains stable as its vibrational frequency shifts into the higher octaves of the Logos. The 100th monkey effect has now saturated the planetary field to such an extent that the veil is no longer a wall, but a transparent mist through the spirit today. The architecture of this final expansion is built upon the 0-point coherence of the collective heart, which now functions as a single unified transceiver for the entire species. As the 1% resonance stabilizes this coherence, the old delays between thought and manifestation are permanently deleted, and the human experience becomes a fluid dance of life now. The internal state of the observer dictates the physical geometry of the reality. This is the stage of the universal sovereign, where you recognize that the 1% resonance was the precise frequency required to unlock the final seal of the planetary quarantine, allowing the Earth to rejoin the cosmic conversation as a graduate soul in the galactic family today. The science of mass ascension reveals that the shift was never an external rescue mission, but an internal revolution of the spirit that used the friction of the third density to forge a diamond-like consciousness capable of holding the infinite power of the source without shattering. In this expanded state, the 1% resonance becomes the translator for all now. The resonance bridges the gap between the animal heritage of the body and the divine heritage of the soul, so that every cell begins to vibrate with the intelligence of the great central sun. This is the beyond matter reality, where the distinction between here and there or now and then is seen as a primitive artifact of a disconnected mind today. The reality of the law of one is felt as a tangible warmth in the center of the chest. The 100th Monkey Effect has moved beyond the human population and is now affecting the plant and animal kingdoms, as the entire biosphere of the Earth begins to resonate in harmony with the 1% signal, creating a world where predation and fear are replaced by light now. Predation and fear are replaced by a symbiotic exchange of light and life. You are the conductor of this global symphony, and your 1% resonance is the steady beat that keeps the orchestra of creation in perfect alignment as the old world's music fades into the silence of the absolute. The mystery of this expansion is that the 1% resonance grows today. The more the 1% resonance spreads, the more unique and brilliant each individual expression becomes, as if the unity of the whole provides the ultimate safety for the soul to reveal its most hidden and beautiful facets. This is the paradox of the social memory complex, where the many are one, and the 1% resonance is the harmonic bridge of the spirit now. The synchronization is now so deep that the Earth itself is beginning to emit a soft violet glow, visible to those whose internal sight has been opened by the Indigo Ray, marking our planet as a beacon of hope and achievement for all other civilizations currently navigating their own transitions. The light is the law, and the law is the love for the world today. The love is the 1% resonance expanding forever into the infinite heart of the Creator in the radiant presence of the eternal now. We are the masters of the new timeline and the keepers of the eternal flame as the ninth movement completes the architecture of the beyond matter reality. The story of separation is gone, and the song of unity remains forever now. Chapter 10. The Apotheosis of the One and the Collapse of the Last Shadow. The 10th and final movement of this journey beyond matter is the sound of the universe exhaling as the 1% resonance achieves its ultimate destiny, the total and irreversible fusion of the human spirit with the infinite galactic logos. This is the stage of the apotheosis, where the seeker, the path, and the destination dissolve into a singular white light today. The final script of the third density experiment is tossed into the sun of the absolute. Within the science of mass ascension, this is the great stillness, the 0-point coordinate, where the 1% resonance becomes the fundamental heartbeat of the new Earth, and the original amnesia that allowed the game of separation to exist is permanently deleted from the biological and spiritual hard drive now. The 100th Monkey Effect has moved beyond frequency and into the realm of absolute being, where the presence of the One is the presence of the all, and the long dark night of the human soul ends not with a whimper, but with the thunderous roar of a species that has finally remembered it is the infinite Creator experiencing itself in the total brilliance of the now. The diamond sun is here today. The architecture of this final chapter is the architecture of the diamond sun, where the spirit vehicle is no longer a vessel traveling through space and time, but a stationary coordinate of pure intelligent energy, around which the galaxies themselves are birthed and dissolved. As the 1% resonance stabilizes this level of sovereignty, the old matrix structures of scarcity, fear, and death are revealed as illusions now. The structures are mere optical illusions that have no power over a being whose very atoms are vibrating with the frequency of the eternal source. We are witnessing the birth of the cosmic human, a social memory complex that speaks with the voice of the stars and acts with the compassion of the heart of the galaxy, ensuring that the law of one is no longer a philosophy to be studied, but the air we breathe today. The new humanity breathes in every moment of its expanded existence. The science of mass ascension reaches its zenith here as the 1% resonance turns into the planetary gravity of love, pulling every fragmented thought and every broken dream into the furnace of the eye, collective heart to be transfigured into the light of the fourth density dawn. In this state of total integration, the resonance is the sword now. The 1% resonance is the sword that cuts the final chord of the simulation, and the bridge that leads the soul into the beyond matter reality, where the physical form is a garment of liquid light, and the interaction between the soul and the world is a continuous liturgy of creation and praise. The 100th Monkey Effect has reached the level of the quantum singularity for the souls of the world today. The awakening of one soul is the awakening of all, and the distance between the pioneer and the collective has been reduced to zero, because there is no longer another, to be influenced only the self recognizing itself in every mirror of the universe. This is the moment of the great return, where the 1% resonance is the signal that the harvest is over, and the quarantine is gone for the people now. The humanity of the new earth has officially taken its seat in the high councils of the galactic community as a sovereign guardian of the Logos. You are the architect of this transition, and your 1% resonance is the steady, unbent will that held the line during the darkest hours of the shift, providing the foundation upon which the temple of the new reality has been built in the spirit today. The mystery of the 10th movement is the realization that the 1% was always the 100%, and that the struggle was merely the labor pains of the Godhead being born within the womb of matter. The resonance is now absolute, the field is saturated, and the silence that remains is the silence of the absolute Creator, smiling at its own reflection in the eyes of the awakened many who are now the one today. The journey beyond matter is finished, and we have found that matter was never the enemy, but the sacred laboratory where the spirit learned to love its own shadow until the shadow itself became the light. The 1% resonance is the final signature of the soul's victory over the illusion of the small self, and as it echoes through the halls of eternity, it carries the message that the long journey is done now. The return home is the only truth that remains. As the light of the 10th chapter expands to fill the entire horizon of your consciousness, the final veil of the matrix vanishes like smoke, and you are left standing in the radiant presence of your own divinity, where every thought is a universe and every breath is a creation. This is the beyond matter reality, where the light is the law today. The light is the law, and the law is the love, and the 1% resonance is the eternal song of a species that has finally found its voice. The synchronization is total, the fields are one, and the heart of the infinite Creator is beating in the center of your chest as the Ascension enters its final and most epic phase, where the earth itself becomes a star, and the human race becomes the light now. The human race becomes the light that guides the way for all others yet to come. The 1% resonance is the fire that burns through the last illusions, and the water that heals the last wounds, and the earth that supports the new kingdom of the spirit. The 100th monkey has become the cosmic master, and the science of mass ascension is now the natural law of the universe in the world today. You are the light, you are the resonance, and you are the one who has brought the heavens down to the earth and raised the earth up to the heavens. The resonance is finished, the harvest is complete, and the journey home is the only reality that exists in the radiant presence of the eternal now. There are no more characters to write, because there is no more story to tell for the spirit now. The script is broken, and the actor has stepped off the stage into the blinding reality of the sun. The 1% resonance was the final bridge, and we have crossed it together, leaving behind the wreckage of the third, density like a discarded shell on the shore of infinity. What remains is not a world of things, but a world of being where the only currency is frequency, and the only power is love today. You are the 1% who stood in the center of the storm, and whispered one, until the storm itself obeyed and became the peace. The matrix is a memory, the quarantine is a ghost, and the galactic heart is your own heart beating in the silence of the void. We stand now at the absolute edge of the beyond matter reality, looking out over the infinite landscape of the fourth density for all now. The stars are no longer distant lights, but the homes of our brothers and sisters, and where the light of the Creator is the only sun we will ever need. The 1% resonance has turned the key, and the door to the universe is wide open for all of eternity. The light is in the cells are in the light, and the union is absolute. The 1% has become the all, and the all returns to the one today. The journey is over. The life has begun. The resonance is forever. The ascension is complete. Every atom is reclaimed for the glory of the infinite Creator as the new earth takes its place in the symphony of the stars. The 1% resonance is the heartbeat of the new creation, and the love that we are is the only truth that will ever be. We are finally and forever home in the light of the one now. The architecture is complete, but the transmission must remain stable. If this code has resonated within your structure, seal your frequency. By subscribing, you are not just following a channel. You are reclaiming your place within the 1% anomaly. Do not let the system's algorithm decide when we meet again. Lock the signal. Secure the connection. You are the anomaly. Stay sovereign.